Guys, before we start, I would like to kindly ask for your help in leaving your like. YouTube hasn't been very helpful in delivering videos, and for our channel to stay alive, your like is very important. This way, we will continue improving our videos, texts, narrations, and stories. Thank you for your attention. And today, with a different person narrating for you, let's go to the video. After the Tournament of Power, peace had returned to Earth. But in the confines of the multiverse, an ancient prophecy is activated. When the power of mortals transcends the divine, a warrior will ascend beyond time and space, defying the very balance of existence. Goku continues to train under the supervision of Whis. However, he feels a deep anxiety. Although he had reached the Ultra Instinct, he knew that there was something else, a power that transcends even the gods. During a training session, Whis would notice that Goku was able to synchronize with the energy of the universe in a way that he had never seen before, manipulating reality itself for fractions of seconds. Surprised, Whis explains to him that this is a vestige of the absolute instinct, a skill reserved for angels. "Does that really exist?" Goku remarked. Of course, that would explain why he managed to execute the Ultra Instinct so easily, Whis commented. "Wow, it sounds great," Goku answered. "I have to put it into practice." I think he didn't understand that it's an exclusive doctrine of angels, Whis exclaimed. "You must be careful to use it, because it could arouse the envy of my brothers." "Don't worry about that. Everything will be fine," Goku remarked. Despite the warnings, Whis would train Goku with great fervor. The Saiyan showed a learning capacity superior to that of before the Tournament of Power. How strange. It's as if his experience with Jiren had completely changed him. Whis would think while he studied it carefully. Then we see Beerus arrive. He had just woken up from his nap. "What a scandal!" Beerus said. "Mr. Beerus, I'm sorry if I woke you up," Goku answered. Beerus deeply analyzed Goku. He noticed that his energy flowed completely differently. "Whis, what happened to Goku?" Beerus continued. "It's something complicated to explain," Whis continued. "Something happens?" Goku continued, noticing Beerus strange. The god of destruction would remain completely silent, without saying a word, while the atmosphere became increasingly tense. Out of nowhere, Beerus launches an attack at full speed. Goku holds his fist just in time. "Hey, what's wrong with you?" Goku commented while holding the attack. Beerus could not believe it. Goku had been able to hold the attack despite being caught off guard. "Interesting," Beerus added. "Whis, keep training him." "I don't understand," Goku commented. "Mr. Goku, didn't you notice his level?" Whis growled. "Level?" Goku added. "Oh yeah, right. Sorry, I got normal." "Normal?" Beerus continued in a sinister way. "One thing is that he approves of your power, but another is that you go too far. Do not underestimate a god of destruction. It's not that big of a deal," Goku snapped. Beerus would launch a ki attack at Goku, and he dodges it just in time. "Hey, what's wrong with you?" Goku growled, annoyed. "If you think you're better than me, prove it," Beerus noted. The atmosphere vibrated with pure energy, while Goku and Beerus remained in their positions. Their auras collided like storms in a furious sky. Goku, with an expression of determination, would raise his fist, prepared for the test that the god of destruction had decreed. The tension grew until Beerus disappeared in a blink. "Prove that you are capable, Goku," Beerus roared as he launched a series of fast attacks like lightning. Goku moved fluently. The air seemed to dance around him as he dodged each blow with an unbelievable serenity. His movements were not just fast, they were intuitive, guided by an instinctive connection with the universe itself. A violet sphere of energy approached his face, but with a simple gesture of his hand, he deflected it towards the sky, where it would explode in an inoffensive explosion. "Impressive," Whis snapped, watching with sharp eyes. Beerus, enraged by the ease with which Goku had handled his attacks, would charge at him with all his power. A roar resounded in the battlefield when they collided, creating an expansive wave that shook the foundations of Beerus's planet. "This is not over," Beerus would scream as he released a torrent of destructive energy. Goku would advance through the energy as if it were a light breeze. His expression was calm, almost meditative. Extending his hand, he would take Beerus's arm at the precise moment and immortalize him. "You are strong, but I can feel that there is something that is stopping you," Goku shouted with a friendly smile. "Why do you contain yourself, Beerus?" Beerus frees himself with a roar, but inside, he began to recognize a disturbing truth. Goku had surpassed his level. With a deep sigh, he retreats and lowers his fists. "Enough," Beerus would finally say. "You have won." The silence that follows would be as heavy as a mountain. Goku, surprised, tilts his head. "Oh, I didn't think you would give up so soon," Goku continued. "It's not giving up, Goku," Beerus interrupts. "I recognize that you have reached a level that defies the very rules of the universe. Training with Beerus has awakened something within you that should never have emerged. You must be careful." Beerus, who had remained silent, felt with gravity. "Mr. Goku, the power that manifests now is only the beginning. The absolute instinct is the essence of the angels, and if it continues to develop in you, you could transform beyond what you can understand." Beerus remarked, "Even be an angel?" "Undoubtedly," Goku responds. "I don't care what comes. I want to keep training. I want to understand that power and use it to protect everyone," Goku declared. Beerus's eyes would shine with a flash of understanding and pride, but also with a shadow of concern. However, his smile returns. "So, let's continue," Whis replied. During the following weeks, Goku immersed himself in a training more demanding than anything he had faced. Under Whis's guidance, he would practice the control of the energy of the cosmos, learning to feel each particle, each movement of time and space. Every day, his skills grew exponentially. He could stop attacks before they were launched, move objects without touching them, and even alter the density of reality to change the flow of combat. However, something disturbing would begin to manifest. His body began to radiate an increasingly intense light. Whis would notice the change before anyone else. "Mr. Goku, your appearance!" Whis exclaimed. Goku would look at his hands. His skin began to acquire an ethereal, almost translucent shine, and his eyes reflected the whole cosmos. He felt an immense and pure power running through his veins, but also a weight, a responsibility that filled him with amazement. "What is happening to me, Whis?" Goku would ask with a tone of concern. Whis sighs, and his words would be measured. He is experiencing a metamorphosis. His soul, his body, and his energy are aligning with the laws of angelic existence.
If the process is completed, he will become an angel, Whis continued. The impact of his words would fall like a thunder. Goku, the fighter who had always sought to defy the limits of his power, now he was facing a fate he had never imagined. "What does that mean for me?" Goku would ask, confused. Whis looks at him with sympathy. "It means that his place in the universe will change forever. An angel does not belong to the world of mortals, but most importantly, an angel does not fight for himself. His role is to guide and observe, not to interfere. His desire to protect could become his greatest burden." Whis growled.
Goku would close his eyes, feeling the weight of those words. The image of his family, of his friends, of all those he had sworn to protect would fill his mind. "I can't get away from them. I can't stop fighting to protect what I love," Goku noted. Whis places a hand on his shoulder. "The future is not written, Goku. The choice is yours. But the deeper you go down this path, the more irreversible the transformation will be." Whis responded. With renewed resolution, Goku would open his eyes, the brightness of the stars reflected in his gaze. "If that is the price for being stronger, I will pay it. I will always find a way to protect them. It is what I am," Goku said, seriously. As he continued his training, Goku's fate was approaching a turning point that would change the course of the multiverse. The gods were watching him from a distance, and a dark shadow crept over the horizon, attracted by the power that now overflowed from the heart of the Saiyan, turned into something more than a mortal. The angels would meet to talk about the subject. They were all sons of Grand Priest, angels since birth. And while there were mortals who transcended angels, they were counted with their fingers. Still, they would wait to see Goku's evolution before issuing any judgment. One day, Whis decides to test Goku, noticing his great progress. "Very good, Mr. Goku. It's time to fight for real," Whis said. "What are you talking about? I always fight for real," Goku said. "I mean, I'll fight for real," Whis answered. "You must be kidding," Goku said, terrified. "No, I'm serious," Whis growled. "I will fight with murderous intent, and if you lose your life, it will be your fault." "Whis, are you crazy? Even if he turns me into an angel, that doesn't mean I can be as strong as you," Goku snapped. "Wow, I didn't think he would be so cowardly," Whis muttered. Goku would be on guard, knowing what would come to him. Whis was ready to test Goku. "Very good, whenever you want." Out of nowhere, Whis would reach Goku with a strong punch in his stomach. Goku would be hunched over, but still wouldn't fall. "Wow," Whis declared, slightly amazed. He managed to contract his abdomen muscles before the impact was more serious. Goku would scream, exploding his ki to the maximum. Whis would take distance. At that moment, Goku's ki flowed with great intensity. His white hair shone with the fire of a newborn star. He was ready to give it all. In that way, a great fight between Goku and Whis would begin. The blows resonated all over the planet with great intensity, to the point that the shockwaves would make the same castle of Whis tremble. "Damn! These two are going to destroy my planet!" Furious, Whis continued. Goku felt the great rigor of Whis. His blows were nothing for him.
Although Goku would try everything, Whis would overcome him widely. "If you can't survive in front of me, you don't deserve to be an angel," Whis added. Whis would throw a great ray of ki towards Goku. For a moment, Goku would see everything in slow motion. A silver glow was reflected in his eyes, awakening something deep. Suddenly, Goku would scream, exploding his ki to the maximum. His level, along with a beastly roar of a simple punch, would manage to deflect Whis's attack. "Impossible!" Whis snapped, not expecting Goku to transcend in that way. Then we see Goku agitated, with a lot of energy around him. He had noticed it. The power of an angel flowed through his body. "This," Goku exclaimed, "has become an angel, a celestial being." Whis commented, "Out of nowhere, all the angels would arrive. They had just felt Goku's ki transcend to a celestial level. What are they doing here?" Goku shouted, confused. "Wow, it seems that everyone already found out about their change," Whis responded. The looks of the angels were difficult to decipher. It was not clear if they supported him or were against him. The angels had arrived, surrounding Goku with enigmatic looks. Their energies were imposing, beyond the understanding of any mortal. However, what attracted Goku's attention the most was the mixture of expressions on their face: amazement, disbelief, and even a certain contempt in some of them. Mojito, the angel of Universe 9, would cross his arms and observe him with an expression of absolute contempt. "This is unacceptable," Mojito said, coldly. "The angels are born in harmony with the cosmos. We are part of the divine balance. But this mortal turned into an angel is an aberration." Margarita, the angel of Universe 11, smiled coldly. "I agree, it is not natural, okay? His existence as an angel doubts the purpose of our own nature. If any mortal with enough strength could transcend to our level, what makes us different from them, okay?" Margarita snapped. Pados, the angel of Universe 6, would look at Goku with a brightness of curiosity in his eyes. "Do not be so quick to judge. If Goku has reached this state, it's because fate has allowed it. Let us not forget that our essence is to guide and observe. Now we have a new perspective to analyze," Pados continued, trying to reassure everyone. Whis, who had remained silent until now, would take a step forward and speak in a neutral tone, but with the authority that his position granted him. "Goku has achieved the impossible. That is true. But more than a threat, it's an opportunity. If he has transcended the limits of mortality, it means that there are things about the universe that we still do not know," Whis noted. Goku, who had been listening, finally decides to speak. "I don't understand what the problem is," Goku yelled, with a smile, although his tone was serious. "I didn't ask for this. I just trained as I have always done. If this power came to me, it's because it had to come. And even though I am an angel now, I am still Goku. I do not plan to change what I am or stop fighting for what I believe." The words of the Saiyan would resonate among the present. Some angels would exchange looks, considering their posture. However, Mojito takes a step forward with eyes as sharp as daggers. "You speak with too much confidence, but tell me, Goku, if you are now an angel, Will you accept the rules that govern us?" Mojito remarked seriously, as if he were evaluating him. Goku frowned. "What do you mean?" Goku responded. Mojito smiles with malicious mirth. "Angels do not interfere in mortal matters. We do not fight. We only guide and observe. And if anyone breaks this rule, the penalty is absolute elimination. If you have really reached our level, then you are tied to the same laws as us. So tell me, can you accept to never raise your fists in combat anymore?" Mojito replied. Goku's heart beat strongly. His soul was that of a warrior. He could not imagine his life without training, without fighting, without protecting his loved ones. He would look at Whis in search for answers, but his teacher would simply return his gaze with serenity, letting the decision fall back on him. The other angels would wait in silence. Some, like Vadis, seemed expectant. Others, like Margarita and Mojito, looked with mockery, hoping to see him fail in the face of the weight of his new reality. Goku would close his eyes for a moment and breathe deeply. Then, with a determined expression, he opens them and speaks firmly. "I will not stop fighting, no matter what I have become. I will always find a way to protect those I love."
If being an angel means that I must abandon what I am, then I will find another way, Goku snapped. Goku's words would make the atmosphere even more tense. Mojito frowned, while Margarita sighed with contempt. "Typical of a mortal, okay?" Margarita exclaimed. "You don't know what you're saying." But before anyone could say anything else, a deep voice resounded from the void. "Enough!" the voice yelled. Everyone turned to the source of the voice. Grand Priest, the Grand Priest, had appeared among them. His presence was imposing. His energy transcended even that of the angels. "It seems that we have reached an interesting point," Grand Priest continued with a serene smile. "A mortal who has transcended the level of the angels. This has no precedent in our current era." The angels bowed in a sign of respect, while Goku simply watched with curiosity. "Father!" Whis snapped with a slight reverence. "What decision will you make regarding Goku?" Grand Priest would look at the Saiyan with impenetrable eyes. Then he would speak calmly. "It is true that angels should not interfere in the affairs of the universe, but Goku was not born as an angel. His essence is different from ours, and that makes his existence unique," Grand Priest answered. Mojito would try to protest. "But if we allow this, we are not opening the door to more disappointments," Mojito added. "Father, I beg you to think about it better." Grand Priest would raise a hand, silencing everyone. "Let's not rush the conclusions. For now, Goku will be observed. His power is impressive, but also unstable. If he proves that he can exist in harmony with his new nature, then we will make a final decision," Grand Priest declared. Grand Priest turns to Goku. "I grant you time to learn what your new existence means. But be careful, Mr. Goku. If his power is out of control, or if he acts against the celestial rules, I will be the one to dictate your fate," Grand Priest responded. Goku took it seriously. "Understood," Goku remarked with great determination in his eyes. With one last look at the other angels, Grand Priest disappears as suddenly as he had arrived. Mojito and Margarita were not happy with the verdict. but they could do nothing against the word of Grand Priest. Without more to say, the angels would begin to disperse, although many of them still saw Goku with suspicion. But Whis smiled and slapped his disciple on the back. "It seems that they have given you an opportunity, Goku. Let's take advantage of it," Whis continued. "Why do you call me Goku and not Mr. Goku?" Goku continued. "I think we are closer now," Whis added, smiling. "After all, you are an angel." Goku smiled again. "Yes, Whis. No matter what I have become, I will continue to train and find my own way," Goku remarked. All the angels would leave there, although many of them with great resentment. Given this, Mojito and Margarita promised to take letters on the matter. Mojito and Margarita retire along with the other angels, but their hearts were full of resentment. For them, the existence of Goku as an angel was an insult to his own nature. They could not allow a mortal, no matter how strong he was, to integrate into his sacred lineage. They walked on an ethereal path, moving away from the presence of others. "We can't let this continue like this," Margarita muttered with a frown. "If Goku manages to adapt to his new existence, Grand Priest could allow his definitive permanence as an angel. And if that happens, we will lose the exclusivity of our position." Mojito sighed with a cold look. "We must act before it is too late. Goku is still in an unstable state. We can take advantage of his ignorance of our nature to show that he is not fit for this role," Mojito continued. Margarita smiled cleverly. "Exactly! And I know how to do it, okay?" Margarita said. Both exchanged complicit looks and disappeared in a flash of celestial light. Meanwhile, Goku was in a completely different celestial plane. Accompanied by Whis, he had spent hours trying to get used to his new state. His body felt different, lighter, more harmonious with the cosmos, but there was something that worried him deeply. He could not feel the need to eat or sleep. His natural impulses as a warrior were being repressed by the same angelic energy that now flowed within him. "It's weird," Goku continued with his arms crossed as he looked at the twinkling stars of the plane in which they were. "I'm not hungry or tired, but I still feel unrestless, as if something was missing." Whis looked at him with a comprehensive smile. "That's because he's no longer a mortal. Angels don't need to rest or eat. Our existence is different. We're in tune with the balance of the universe," Whis exclaimed. Goku frowned. "But what about the fights? I can't just stop training. It's part of what I am," Goku muttered. Whis sighs. "That will be your real test," Whis snapped. Before Goku could respond, a disturbance shook the celestial plane. A portal of light opened before them, and on the other side, a terrifying scene was projected. In a distant world, warriors fell one after another before an imposing figure. A being of dark energy had appeared and was massacring the inhabitants of the planet mercilessly. "That's Universe 6, Goku would exclaim when he recognized the scene. "That planet is in danger. I must do something." But just as Goku tried to move, he would feel an invisible weight on him. It was as if a force stopped him. Whis observed him with a serious expression. "You can't intervene, Goku," Whis yelled calmly. "That's the rule of the angels. We don't interfere." Goku's eyes widened with disbelief. "But those people are going to die. I can't stay with my arms crossed," Goku noted. Suddenly, a voice echoes behind them.
And there's the definitive proof that you can never be an angel, Goku, Mojito answered. Mojito and Margarita appeared. Their expressions were cold and calculating. Mojito looked at Goku with pride. We knew this would happen. A mortal will never be able to give up his impulsive nature. And now you have a lesson to do, Mojito replied. Margarita smiled maliciously. Exactly, and I know how to do it, okay? Margarita said. Both exchanged complicit looks and disappeared in a flash of celestial light. But Goku was in a completely different celestial plane. Alone with Whis, he had spent hours trying to make a decision. His hands trembled, his heart beating hard. He couldn't accept a decision like that. If he didn't do anything, innocent people would suffer. But if he acted, Grand Priest could erase his existence. Whis observed, silently, without intervening. This was something Goku had to resolve for himself. The Saiyan closed his eyes and breathed deeply. Then, with a firm determination, he opens them again. I don't need to choose between those two options, Goku replied firmly. I'm going to find another way. Mojito and Margarita frowned. What nonsense are you saying? Margarita would ask disbelievingly. Goku smiled. Maybe now I'm an angel, but I'm still Goku, and that means I will always find a way to fight without breaking the rules, Goku remarked. Before anyone could react, Goku teleports to the disaster scene. However, instead of attacking the evil being directly, he uses his new angelic energy to create a protective barrier around the inhabitants of the planet. With a movement of his hands, he transports all the innocents out of danger. Mojito and Margarita would left speechless. He hadn't attacked. He hadn't fought. He had only guided and protected. Technically, he hadn't broken any rules. Whis smiled proudly.
Interesting solution, Whis declared. Grand Priest appears again with an impenetrable look. So, this is your way, Goku, said the Grand Priest calmly. I must admit that it is unexpected. Margarita and Mojito would try to speak, but Grand Priest would raise a hand, silencing them. For now, it will allow you to continue your path, but keep observing it. If you ever cross the line, I will not intervene again, Grand Priest commented. Goku agreed, even with his confident smile. Don't worry, I'll find a way to stay who I am, Goku said. Mojito and Margarita leave with evident frustration, but they hadn't abandoned their intention to get rid of Goku. They knew there were still many ways to take him to the limit. Whis would put a hand on Goku's shoulder. Let's keep training, Mr. Goku. It seems that your path as an angel is just beginning, Whis remarked. Goku agreed with emotion. Yes, let's see how far I can go without getting lost in the process, Goku added. Margarita and Mojito would exchange a look full of anger. They had tried to test Goku to show that he was not worthy of being an angel, but he had found a way to overcome his expectations without breaking the rules. However, this only increased his resentment towards him. Mojito would squeeze his fists with anger. This can't go on like this. If we let him continue with his stubborn way of thinking, it could change the balance of our existence, Mojito continued.
Margarita smiled coldly. "We have to get him out of the equation." But Grand Priest watches him closely. "We can't act here, okay?" Furious, Margarita exclaimed. Mojito smiles with malice. "Then we'll get him out of here. Let's take him to a place where the rules of the angels do not apply. A domain outside time and space where we can show him that he does not belong to our class," Mojito declared. Margarita would raise an eyebrow with interest. "I like how you think, Mojito. Goku will not be able to escape if we take him there, okay?" he remarked. Without wasting time, the angels would raise their hands and channel their energy. A dimensional crack opens behind them, emanating an ethereal and dark glow. In a matter of seconds, a whirlwind of force is unleashed around Goku. "What are you doing?" Goku would exclaim as he felt his body being dragged by the energy. Whis would try to move, but the barrier imposed by Margarita and Mojito would stop him. "Goku, watch out!" Whis said seriously. But before he could do anything else, Goku would be swallowed by the crack and disappear in a flash of light. Margarita and Mojito would launch after him, and the crack closes, leaving behind a disturbing silence. They were in the Forbidden Battlefield, an area where there was no trace of their actions. Goku would open his eyes and find himself floating in an unknown space. There were no stars, no planets, no horizon. Just an infinite extension of a blue and white void with fleeting flashes of light traversing the environment. "Where am I?" Goku murmured, adjusting his sight. In front of him, Margarita and Mojito appear with expressions of determination and contempt. "Welcome to the Forbidden Celestial Domain, Goku," Mojito snapped with a cold smile. "There are no rules here. There are no limits here. And here we can finish you off without Grand Priest intervening." Goku frowned, putting himself on guard. "So this is a trap. I knew they wouldn't calm down after what happened," Goku added seriously. Margarita turns her binoculars with grace, but her eyes reflect a murderous intention. "You don't understand, okay? It's not personal. It's for the sake of universal balance. You should never have reached this level, okay?" Margarita muttered. Mojito raises his binoculars, and an expansive wave shakes the space. "We are going to show you why angels are absolute beings, and why a mere mortal like you can never be at our level," Mojito snapped with great anger. Without prior notice, they both attack. Mojito moved at unreal speed and threw a blow aimed at Goku's face. The Saiyan could hardly react, deflecting the attack with his arm. However, Margarita appears behind him and kicks him in the back, throwing him through the void. Goku stabilizes quickly, but Mojito was already on him with a barrage of attacks. Each blow had the precision of a scalpel and the strength of a collapsing star. Goku could barely dodge them. "They're incredibly fast," Goku would think, trying to keep up. Margarita raises her binoculars and shoots a rain of light projectiles. Goku blocks several with his arms, but the force of the impacts would make him retreat. "You don't have a chance, Goku," He would shriek, while Mojito appeared by his side and kicked him in the stomach, making him spit saliva. Goku recovers and would try to counterattack with a blow enhanced by his angelic energy, but Margarita intercepts him easily, squeezing his fist with a single hand. "That's all, okay?" Margarita remarked with contempt before throwing Goku as if he were a rag doll. The Saiyan stabilizes, hating. He felt frustrated. He had reached the level of an angel, but he was still being surpassed. "I can't lose here," Goku roared, while his angelic energy began to shine more intensely. Goku would close his eyes for a moment, remembering Whis's words. Angels are in tune with the balance of the universe. Goku would remember Whis's words. Suddenly, something clicked in his mind. Until now, he had been using his new power as if it were his normal ki, but it was not the same. He needed to focus on his flow, on his essence, on harmony. Taking a deep breath, Goku lets his angelic energy flow through his body naturally. His aura would become more compact. His ki no longer dispersed uncontrollably, but solidified in his being. When he opened his eyes, his gaze reflected absolute calm. "Now I understand," Goku murmured. Mojito and Margarita would feel the change in an instant. "What are you doing?" Mojito would ask with confusion. Margarita closes her eyes. "He is dominating his angelic essence. How annoying, okay?" Margarita exclaimed in a bad mood. Goku disappears in a flash and reappears in front of them, hitting Mojito in the chest with a solid punch. For the first time, the Angel of Universe 9 would feel the impact directly in his face, something that had never happened to him before. "What?" Mojito would exclaim as he was sent back. Margarita reacts and attacks with a cut of energy from her baculum, but Goku blocks it with a palm, dispersing the energy as if it were smoke. "Now I can really fight," Goku remarked with a confident smile, before launching into combat again. The battle intensifies more and more. Goku, now in total control of his angelic ki, would manage to stay at the level of his opponents, even though the experience of Margarita and Mojito gave them an advantage. After a brutal exchange of blows, the three fighters separate. Breathing heavily, Mojito looked at Goku with frustration. "Damn it! He's really learning!"
Angry Mojito exclaimed. Margarita would squeeze her teeth. "We can't keep playing, Mojito. If we let him advance further, we could lose, okay?" Margarita replied. The two angels would raise their baculus, and a whirlwind of celestial energy would begin to form between them. Both angels, in tune, noted that it was time to end this. Goku watches them seriously. He knew that what was coming was his greatest challenge. But instead of being afraid, he smiled with great confidence. "Come on, I'm waiting for you," Goku yelled. The baculus of Margarita and Mojito shone with a blinding intensity. The whirlwind of celestial energy they had created creaked with immeasurable power, expanding like a cosmic storm ready to destroy everything.
Goku, in his state of maximum concentration, would feel the pressure of the energy enveloping him, but he wouldn't back down. "This is my final challenge," Goku would exclaim, flexing his muscles and letting his angelic ki flow in absolute harmony. Margarita and Mojito would raise their baculus at the same time,
and a pure energy sphere would form between them. It was an attack that challenged existence itself, a manifestation of the divine essence. "This is your end, Goku," Mojito continued, throwing the sphere with all his strength. The Saiyan has no doubt, gathering each particle of his new power, he would extend his hands and receive the direct impact. A flash shook the void of forbidden celestial domain when the collision of energies resonated in all directions. The explosion generates expansive waves that twist the space itself. But Goku didn't give up. Not yet. Goku roared with determination, forcing the destructive energy to compress with his own ki. His angelic aura shone with a golden and silver tone, radiating a purity that challenged the combined offensive of the angels. Mojito and Margarita would be instantly stunned. "It can't be!" Margarita would exclaim, seeing how Goku not only resisted the attack, but was pushing him back. With a final scream, Goku condenses the sphere and reverts it to his attackers. The impact forces them to disperse, but the battle was not over yet. Mojito materializes behind Goku and strikes him with a devastating blow to the back. Margarita appears to the front and launches an energy cut with her baculum. Goku dodges by instinct, but the speed of the angels was overwhelming. "It doesn't matter how much you have evolved," Mojito growled. "You are still a mortal trying to play in the league of the gods." Margarita would launch with lightning speed and hit Goku in the stomach. The Saiyan would feel an overwhelming pain run through his body as he was thrown back, crashing with the infinite nothingness of forbidden domain. Goku jaded, his energy dissipated slowly. Although he had managed to adapt to the angelic ki, his opponents had millennia of advantages of experience and mastery. "No, not yet," Goku murmured, forcing his body to arise. But Mojito and Margarita were already on him. In a joint attack, they would cross their baculus and unleash an absolute energy torrent. Goku tries to block, but his resistance had reached the limit. The impact would be devastating. Goku's body would fall heavily. His angelic ki flickered weakly. He would feel his consciousness fade away and his strength abandoning him. "It's the end," Mojito exclaimed, approaching with his baculus ready to give the final blow. But in that instant, a blinding brightness illuminates the domain. Time seemed to stop when an overwhelming presence descended on the battlefield. Margarita and Mojito would feel a chill run through their bodies. Goku, barely conscious, would open his eyes and see an ethereal figure floating above them. Grand Priest had arrived. His expression was unperturbed, but his eyes reflected a silent warning. With a simple gesture of his hand, he dispersed all the remaining energy in the environment, restoring absolute calm. "Margarita, Mojito," Grand Priest growled, with his voice resonating with an unanswered authority. "They have disobeyed the sacred balance by bringing Goku here." The two angels would lower their heads, feeling the overwhelming pressure of his presence. "We thought it was the right thing, Father, okay?" Margarita would answer cautiously. "Goku represents a risk to our hierarchy, okay?" Grand Priest looked at them in silence for a moment. Then,
He turned to Goku. With a simple movement of his hand, the Saiyan would feel how his energy was partially restored. The risk is not measured by fear of the unknown, Grand Priest added. Goku has transcended limits that no mortal has reached before. And that, instead of being a reason for fear, should be a reason for observation. Mojito would squeeze his teeth, but he did not dare to reply. "We will return immediately," Grand Priest would order. "This is not a place for unintentional disputes." With a gesture, he would create a portal that would return them to the main plane. Margarita and Mojito, resigned, would enter first. Before Goku crossed, Grand Priest looked at him with interest. "Your growth is remarkable, Goku, but remember, true power does not reside only in strength, but in the purpose of using it," Grand Priest said. Goku sighed with a tired smile. "I understand, and I will continue to advance," Goku muttered. With that, Goku crosses the portal, and the forbidden celestial domain would be in oblivion once again. But in Goku's mind, the battle had not yet ended. He knew that the path to travel was longer than he had imagined, and the real test was just beginning. Goku floated in the wings of the Temple of Beerus. Training with Whis once again, the battle against Margarita and Mojito had changed his perception of angelic power. Now he understood that it was not enough to reach the energy of an angel, but that he had to integrate it into his essence, perfect it until it was a natural extension of his being. Whis smiled as he watched Goku, who dodged each of his attacks with a fluidity that surprised him. "I must say that you have advanced to an impressive level, Goku. Even for a mortal, this is unheard of," Whis would comment while he disappeared and reappeared behind Goku with his baculum. But Goku turns quickly and grabs Whis's baculum with one hand, preventing the attack. "You don't leave me any openings, huh?" Whis said with a slight smile. Goku retreats, releasing the baculum and adopting a relaxed posture. His angelic aura shone with intensity, but without overflowing as in his first manifestations. He had learned to control it, to channel it with a mastery that even Whis could not ignore. "I have understood that the key is not only the strength," Goku would answer. "It is harmony, synchronization with everything that surrounds me." Whis closed his eyes. "That is the fundamental principle of the angels. And yet you have mastered it in a time that no being has achieved before," Whis would answer. Meanwhile, in the kingdom of the angels, Grand Priest was watching Margarita and Mojito with a cold, impenetrable gaze. The two angels were on their knees, feeling the overwhelming pressure of his power. "You two have acted without my permission," Grand Priest answered in a tense voice. "Taking Goku to the forbidden celestial domain was a serious transgression." Margarita would lower her head. "We thought it was the right thing, Father, okay?" Margarita would answer cautiously. "Goku represents a risk to our hierarchy." Grand Priest would raise a hand and an invisible burst of energy immobilized them. Mojito would feel how his very existence was shaking. If Grand Priest wanted it, he could erase them from reality with a simple thought. "The balance of the universe is not something you must decide," Grand Priest remarked. "They have interfered beyond their functions, and therefore they must be eradicated." Margarita and Mojito would feel the cold of annihilation enveloping them. But before the final blow fell on them, Grand Priest relaxed his expression. "However, they are still useful," Grand Priest said. and with a movement of his hand, he released the pressure. Consider yourself lucky. You will not see a second warning again. The angels were moved, trembling slightly. Thank you, Father, Margarita added. Do you understand the gravity of what happened? Grand Priest continued. Yes, Father, we regret it, okay? Margarita yelled. This will not happen again, Mojito responded. We promise, Margarita yelled. I hope so, Grand Priest answered seriously. Several years would pass in peace. During this time, Goku continued to train, refining his skills beyond the imaginable. Whis would soon realize that Goku had surpassed him. His angelic energy was not only stable, but it seemed to evolve constantly. In a meeting with the other angels, they would begin to notice the magnitude of his power. Even those who considered his existence as an aberration would begin to fear him. Goku was no longer a mere mortal with angelic powers. He had become something else, a being that...
Rumors would reach the ears of Grand Priest. Although he had allowed Goku to continue his development, now he had to check how far he had really come. And for this, there was only one way to do it. One day, while Goku meditated in a celestial plane, he would feel an indescribable presence appear before him. He would open his eyes and meet Grand Priest floating in the air, observing him with absolute serenity. You have grown more than anyone could have predicted, Grand Priest responded, but I need to see how far you have come. I challenge you to a fight. Goku would stand up with an excited smile forming on his face. He knew that this moment would come sooner or later. I accept, Goku would answer firmly. I promise I won't let you down. Both would rise above an infinite void where nothing could interfere with their battle. Grand Priest would raise a hand and the space around him would distort, creating a dimension of pure cosmic chaos. Here, time and space have no meaning, Grand Priest would explain. Show me your true power, Goku. Goku inhales deeply and lets his energy flow. His angelic aura expands with a divine glow, surpassing any form he had shown before. Grand Priest smiles lightly and disappears. What? Goku snapped, disconcerted. The speed of the Supreme Wizard was unbearable. Goku could barely react before receiving the first impact. Even so, he would manage to block it with both hands. The force was overwhelming, but not enough to make him retreat. Interesting, Grand Priest murmured. You have learned well. Goku smiles and counterattacks, launching a powerful blow with his angelic energy. The collision between both powers causes a shockwave that disintegrates reality around him. The colors of the space itself were deformed while both fighters exchanged attacks at an incalculable speed. For the first time in Eon, Grand Priest felt truly challenged, and that intrigued him even more. Goku, for his part, knew that this battle would define his destiny. The battle between Goku and Grand Priest continued in that cosmic chaos, where reality itself seemed to tremble with each clash of their powers. Goku, with his completely unleashed angelic energy, moved at a speed and precision that challenged all logic. Each of his blows resonated in the dimension, causing explosions of pure energy that disintegrated the space around him.
Grand Priest, however, maintained a serene expression. Although he was gradually increasing his power, he still did not show signs of being fighting with all his strength. Even so, Goku managed to stay level, anticipating his movements and responding with attacks that would have left any other being in existence perplexed. The other angels would begin to perceive the battle. From their respective universes, they would feel the distortion in the flow of the cosmos, something that could only mean that an inconceivable power was at stake. One by one, they would appear in the dimension of cosmic chaos, floating around the battlefield. Their expressions were astonishing and, in some cases, incredulous. "Is this possible?" whispered Campari, the angel of Universe 3. "Goku? Has he really reached this level?" would wonder, unable to take his eyes off the fight. Meanwhile, Grand Priest would increase his attack rhythm. His figure fades and reappears in multiple points around Goku, hitting him with a burst of precise impacts. Goku, despite his improved speed, barely managed to react in time. However, instead of retreating, he smiled. "This is incredible!" Goku would exclaim with his aura shining even more. Suddenly, Goku channels all his energy and releases it in an expansive explosion, creating a shockwave that forces Grand Priest to stop for a moment. Goku would take the opportunity and advance with a fist covered with his angelic essence. The impact would resonate through the dimension, causing a crack in the space itself. The angels who watched the battle would feel a chill run through their bodies. Grand Priest would retreat slightly, observing his hand which had received the impact. His expression did not show anger or concern, but a slight smile. "You are impressive, Goku. You have really gone further than I would have ever imagined," Grand Priest yelled, raising his hand and restoring the fractured space around him with a simple gesture. The angels would hold their breath. It was the first time they saw Grand Priest receive a direct blow. Goku, far from stopping, would reinforce his posture and increase his energy once again. His hair, at first imbued with a silver glow, would begin to vibrate with a golden hue. His transformation seemed to evolve in real time. Grand Priest decides to try something else. He would raise his hand and a celestial aura surrounded him. With a slight movement of his finger, he would create countless circles of energy around Goku, each one charged with a force capable of disintegrating any inferior being. With a confident smile, he dodges them with precise movements, slipping among them with the mastery he had perfected throughout his training with Whis. Finally, he would launch a counterattack with a burst of blows that would make the light itself tingle in the dimension. Grand Priest responds with equal intensity, and for the first time in history, a burst was heard that would make even the celestial realms vibrate. The magnitude of the fight was such that even Zeno, from his palace, would begin to notice the distortion in the balance of the multiverse. Back in the battle, Grand Priest decides to raise the level once again. He would close his eyes for a moment, and when he opens them, his energy increases exponentially. Goku would feel the change in an instant. It was as if the gravity of the entire universe had multiplied, but even so, instead of retreating, he advances. Both would collide once again. This time, each of their impacts created new, ephemeral dimensions that were born and died in a matter of seconds. The angels they observed could no longer believe what they saw. Goku was a mortal who was maintaining the level of Grand Priest himself.
Whis would observe the scene with a mixture of pride and astonishment. I can't say this surprises me at all. Goku always finds a way to overcome the limits, Whis snapped in a low voice. In the heat of the battle, Goku would feel that his body was reaching a new stage. His energy stabilized to a point that he had never experienced before. He was no longer just using angelic energy. He was becoming part of it in a definitive way. Grand Priest would notice the change and stop momentarily. It seems that you have reached a point of no return, Grand Priest commented with a slight smile. Goku, do you understand what this means? Goku breathes again and assents. Yes, I am no longer a mortal with angelic energy. I have become something else, Goku snapped seriously. Grand Priest studies him for a moment and then assents. Very well. This will be our last exchange. Show me how far you can go, Grand Priest replied.
When their blows collide, reality itself collapses for a moment. The angels, witnesses of this impossible collision, would feel that something in existence itself had changed. When the glow of the battle dissipates, Goku and Grand Priest floated in the air, both jadeando slightly. The battle had come to an end. Grand Priest smiled. You are truly extraordinary, Goku. There is no doubt about it, Grand Priest added. Goku smiled again, although his body trembled with effort. Thank you. It has been an honor, Goku commented. At that moment, the kings of everything would arrive. Little Zin, Goku growled cheerfully. But the expressions of the kings of everything were not of friendship. There was something cloudy on their faces. Great sir, is something happening? Grand Priest snapped. I just put Mr. Goku to the test, and he has shown great potential. Keep silent, Zio answered. Yes, keep silent, Zio continued. The atmosphere would be silent before the reaction of the kings of everything. What could happen now that Goku and Grand Priest had an incredible fight? Are the kings of everything angry? And also, what will happen to Goku now that he transcended in his power? We will know all that in the next part of this theory. Friends, I hope you have loved the movie of Goku. Remember that if you want to see more parts of this theory, this video has to reach 100 likes, many comments, and subscribe for more theories. See you in the next video!